welcome in. This is Julie Max and the Main Stamper. I am here for your Thursday at 3 card inspiration. Now, Thursdays at 3 are a lot of fun because typically I'll do a fun fold card, which of course, right? Fun is in the name. So I love that fun and fun folds go together on Thursdays for me. And for you, if you're watching me, thank you so much. Please say hi as you jump on. I am on Facebook Live. I will be popping this over to my YouTube subscribers a little bit later today. So I love to hear who is checking out my card ideas, and I had so much fun with this design. So this is, I'm playing with this. I'm trying to get this to work. So this is our card. It is another take of the Fun on Wheels. We've been playing with this all week. Now, there's a lot going on here. I'm going to turn it sideways and you're going to see there's some things going on here. I'm trying to get my little pull tab to work because here's the pull tab. So this is not really a fun fold, but it's a fun card. It's a fun interactive card. This is a pull tab slider card. So I'm going to just pull the tab and you're going to see that the bike moves with the tab. So my sentiment says you can do amazing things, and on the inside it says, look at you go. I always have a hard time with the camera angle, but look at you go. And the bike is going to slide back and forth very easily. Now this is on a hidden track, so it's not a super obvious pull card, which is really awesome. I also picked out some fantastic colors and designs here. And this card has so many elements that it is almost a little like over the top. Hi, Jess. All right, sounds like I am good to go. Jess is on with me live. So this is not a card that necessarily I'm gonna show you all the products that I used in it. This wouldn't be one where you're like, I need to buy this, 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 and this. You're gonna look through what you have at home and you're gonna say, I have a stamp set with clouds. I have a stamp set with some small flowers, and you're gonna make it work because there's so many workarounds for this card. So let's get over to my workspace. We're gonna talk a little bit about the recipe, and we're gonna talk about putting this one together. So here we go. So Fun on Wheels, this is your card recipe that you would have got in your email today. And this is my prototype. So this is the first one that I played with just to see how this would work, what wouldn't work, because I took a recipe idea, I took the general idea and I transferred it onto, into what I had for product, and I've tried to use current Stampin' Up product as well. So you're going to see there's a lot of differences here from my prototype to what actually made it to my final card. And there's a lot of things that I don't like about this, but I want to point out really quickly, when I started out, I played with the borders dies to create a grassy look here, and I just was not happy with it. Now stamping a lot, that doesn't even count because I stamped this after I assembled it, so of course the stamping's not going to turn out well. And then I realized that the scallop contour scallops that I used the biggest of the outline ones here for this white piece, which is on both of them. And then I realized that they had this really awesome scallop die as well that would create my grass scene. So I did use this for my grass, and then one less die set that I had to use. But if you have something with a border as a die, think about it. Can you make your little grass scene out of that? So that worked out really well. So I did use the Scallop Contours dies as part of my background. Now, of course, we're using the really Fun on Wheels bundle. We started this with our Monday class, so I've been using the dies from here. We did this bike this time. This is what this one looks like. Now, on Monday, I did a whole class. I'm going to just briefly go over my whole class. So we did the sideways bike with some vellum. I did 2 of those cards, exactly the same. We did the scooter and skateboard, and I used the brads a little bit differently here. We did, I did this one. This was in Sweet Sorbet, and I changed up where the brads go, and then I did a color swap card in the Tahitian Tide. How fun is that, right? So we've been having fun with Fun on Wheels like all week. So this is just a continuation of Fun on Wheels. If you like some of those cards that I just showed you, they are available in card kits with your qualifying order this week. Now, as I mentioned, I use a lot of different products. So I have clouds from the Lazy Day stamp set. So just look through your stamp sets to see if you want clouds in the background. You probably have clouds in something. I use this little flower right here with grass from the Dainty Delight stamp set to cover in my grass. I'm sure you have lots of little flower stamps. The other set that I use that worked out really well is Wonderful Thoughts. And I did a whole card class not that long ago on Wonderful Thoughts, and I also showed you how to put your dies on your sheet so you would know which was which. I talked to you about, I think I shared all of these charts, your sentiments, numbering them, so that you know when you're pulling a sentiment which die it goes with, because you've got all this coordination. This worked out so well for me because I did the You Can Do Amazing Things, which is on here somewhere, right here, right? This is the You Can Do Amazing Things. So I stamped that, die cut it really easily. The Look at You Go is from the Fun on Wheels, the bike set. So I just wanted to point out, I use so many things, but the reason I pulled out Wonderful Thoughts first is for this very long die right here. So this long thin die is actually going to be part of the building of this particular card. So this one is kind of technical, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and that's like not even a joke. There's moving pieces here, right? So right here I wanted to show you that this little slit die was what I used to create the background for my bicycle to move. But I used this die twice. This is a very thin die, so I actually put it in here and die cut it, and then I moved it down and put it in and die cut it again because I wanted to get two of those slits. So this is what came out. So 2 separate die cuts because this is very tiny, and it would be really hard to get anything in here. And you're going to see why. You're going to see why as I put this card together. But I wanted to show you that this long skinny die from the Wonderful Thoughts bundle works really well for this. But if you have other skinny slit dies, you can use, again, whatever you have on hand. This just happened to work out really well. I'm going to get rid of my prototype. We're not talking about prototype anymore. We're going to get into this card. So let me set my directions aside. And if you don't get my emails on Thursdays and you want to sign up for my newsletters, you sure can. I send out more than a Thursday newsletter, but the Thursday newsletter has your card recipe in there from my Thursday at 3 card that I show you during a live class. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in this really fun pattern from the Bright and Beautiful designer paper. Now we're going landscape on purpose for this card, but when you cut your paper, just make sure that you like the pattern in the landscape position before you cut it, right? Because once you cut it, you either have to cut another piece if you're not happy with it, or, you know, because it does look a little bit different in either way. Now I chose landscape for this one because the bike is traveling and I wanted it to go far. If I had the bike go from here to here, it would barely move. It would move a little bit, but it wouldn't move a lot. So landscape is probably going to give you the most wow on this card for sure. Okay, so we've got that down. I've already die cut some of the pieces, so we could just continue to put this one together today. We're going to really focus on the assembly part, but this is my background. And there is a little stamping, because stamping is fun, and we all want to do that too, right? So I've got balmy blue ink, and we're going to do the clouds. So again, 2 clouds come in the Lazy Days stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp them in a random pattern here, but I kind of keep my clouds a little snugged together here. I'm going to put one there. I'll put one over here, and then I think I'll put one up here. Just keeping in mind that everything needs to be closer to the top because the bottom's, the bottom half gets pretty covered and the bike will, kind of come through there. But that worked out really well. Now I'm going to actually do a little sponging because I didn't really want it to be so white. So we're going to bring in a blender brush and the ink, and we're just going to kind of come in here and do a little bit of light blending right down into the clouds. I'm going to leave a little bit of white in here too. I don't want it to be all blue. I just want there to be suggested blue, just a hint of color, because that way it just looks prettier, and it kind of almost looks like there's white wispy in the skyline as well. So I really like the way that looked. All right, so we are done with balmy blue. Move that aside. And next we're going to stamp our garden grass. So again, this is the scallop die from the Scallop Contours, and I have Granny Apple Green here, which seems to be a really good green color, I think, for this application. And again, just a little tiny flower type stamp, and this one happens to have grass in it too, which is really cute. I'm just going to do I'm trying to do a random pattern. However, I feel like I'm not being very random right now, so let me try a little bit harder to be more random. There we go. So just random on there to add in some fun little grassy elements. Again, we're going to bring in a blender brush and we're going to darken this down. Now, totally different, right? From here to here, the difference in having it sponged on the edges. I think all right, move my paper up a little bit so you guys can continue to watch what I'm actually doing. All right, so I'm going heavy on the scallop part because I feel like it really needs the heavy. And then I'm just going to do kind of more of a lighter a lighter application here, you know, bottom up. Again, I'm leaving a little bit of this not sponged, so you get those variations in colors. It just gives a really great contrast, and it adds a little bit of brightness where the sponging doesn't occur and the paper still looks, you know, untouched. It's just really beautiful that way. So to save time, because we're doing a lot on this card, I already stamped the bike in pumpkin pie ink and die cut it, and I also stamped my You Can Do Amazing Things and die cut that. So I've got those things right there. I'm actually going to put this right down on here now so that we can get that part out of the way. So I'm going to glue this down flat because there's going to be so much dimension on this. It's going to be crazy. Now let me talk about the bike, and then we're going to pop into the frame here. So I die cut this bike, which is nice and big. It's easy to work with. And then I die cut a frame. So I used adhesive sheets. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the adhesive. So adhesive sheets are fantastic for applications like this, where you have a really thin die. So this is a really thin frame die, and it's really hard to glue that all down. And because this bike has moving parts, I wanted to make sure nothing was going to flap up on it. So I used the adhesive sheet. I die cut it out. This is what it's going to look like when it comes out. I'm going to pop that out. And of course, there's little pieces that still need to work their way through. I might need to poke at them a little bit here. And if they don't all come out, they should come out when I take the sticker backing off, because they should be all set. Let's see if we can brush a few of those and convince them to come out now, so we don't have to worry about them later. These little guys are the worst offenders. But you can see how narrow this piece is. Now, because it's a sticker, because I made it an adhesive sheet, so you put the adhesive sheet on before you die cut the front, and then the sticker part will peel off the back. Now, this is a little bit tricky here to try to find a piece that's going to peel off. I might need to put this up really high to my face. Here we go. Okay, so you're going to peel off the back part of the sticker, and this whole thing is just slightly sticky. So this is a throwaway piece, and now this is completely gluey sticky, so it can come down here over top of my bike. And of course, all of these things that I try, you know, if you're trying to create this card at home and you're like, too many steps, don't want to do that, you skip that part. You know, the bike looks just as cute stamped and die cut. You don't have to add the big frame over top. Okay, so we're going to pop this on here. I think I got it a little bit crooked. Now these are a little bit forgiving, so you can pick it up and start over if you need to. Just don't press it down like super hard. I think the handlebars are the trickiest part. They seem to be the trickiest part. So I'm going to start with the handlebars and move backwards. See if that helps a little bit. We're getting there. Okay, much better. Now, because it's a sticker, I didn't have to get out the glue. I didn't have to figure any of that out. It's just a little sticker on here. It's perfect. I'm going to be using mini dimensionals. I'm going to grab them out right now. So mini dimensionals, and definitely you're going to need the foam adhesive strips. So you're going to need these long strips because we're going to be doing a whole bunch, and I mean a whole bunch of adhesive strips on this card. Let me just get rid of my garbage so it's not in the way. And then we're going to talk about the stilts for our bike. So yes, we need stilts for our bike. It may not show on here, but we are going to put stilts on. I need a little scrap. I'm just going to bring in a scrap of paper. You need about an inch or so. You don't have to be super technical and measure it. I'm just going to cut 2 of these. Now this can't be wider than your bike wheels or whatever you're putting it on, but I'm adding stilts, and the stilts are going to hold the bike up, and it's all going to work like in a magical way. So I'm just going to put one of these papers on each of the backs here of my bike. I'm not worried about how long they come. I mean, they come down a little bit. I'm not worried about the entire height of them yet, but these are the stilts. They can be adjusted as we get going farther into our card, but I wanted the stilts to dry on the back of these wheels so that we're good to go. Let's talk about the frame now. So the frame is your sliding parts, right? So this is the piece that we die cut the slits into. This is going to be my sentiment. We do have to stamp the sentiment. So I'm bringing in the pumpkin pie, and I'm bringing in the look at you go, and you want to make sure you stamp your sentiment pretty close to the right side. And maybe I'll try that one more time. Let's see if I like this side better. The B side. We'll try the B side next. Look at you go. That's better. Okay. So I had a little smudgy, I think. Now this piece right here that you're doing your sentiment on is actually longer than the slit piece, and that's on purpose. We're going to trim this up, but I want this to work out. Now it doesn't matter that it's perfectly aligned in this slit or slot, however you want to start calling it. We're working with this piece first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our adhesive strips, and they come long, they're long, right? So we're going to take adhesive strips, and we're going to take the back of this, and we're just going to line the top and bottom only with our adhesive strips. So this is kind of a wide card. And wide, I mean, like if you put it in an envelope, it's going to be really thick. We're going to put this one on here on the top. And in my directions, I said, make sure that this fits in here as you're putting this in. So this is the back of it, obviously, but you want to make sure that this slides in and out of here. So don't put your adhesive strips narrower than your sentiment. Okay, so the Look at You Go can slide in and out there. So we're good there. I'm just going to add a little bit more adhesive strip here to the end. So I'm just going to trim off a little smidge here. Put this in here. Okay, so now this is the back side, top and bottom. They're good to go. So I'm going to peel off my backing from these adhesive strip parts. And this one is going to go right onto the bottom of my frame. Okay, so this is the frame. I'm calling this the slider frame. Oh, I forgot to sponge it. We're going to do some sponging really quickly. We're going to get clever with a sponge. The reason that I'm going to add some green ink down is because of the size that I chose to do this in. So you can just see a little bit behind the scallop. You're going to be able to see a little bit of white. So I thought I'd be clever and hide it with green, but I almost forgot this part. So we're going to bring this in. We're going to bring in some green ink, and I'm just going to add this in. It doesn't have to be pretty or anything. It just has to be green. So bring in the green, and this is going to be the top, and this is in the directions. I did not skip this part in my directions. So if you have the directions and you're following along at some point making this cool card, or another card, anything that moves will work really well with this. I mean, you could put little critters that could move across your card front. That would be really cute, right? Ghosts and goblins. Ghosts and goblin season is coming. So think about that. You know, a reindeer, a sleigh, like all kinds of things are going to work for this kind of a card. Okay, so we're going to come down back to our little scallop piece here, and I'm going to line this up side to side, but toward the bottom here where the scallops are. Now on my card, you can just see the scallops here on the bottom. So I didn't cover them all the way up. You can do that if you want to, but I'm going to bring it down and try to place it as evenly across as possible. Okay, so we've got our little frame here. Now this will slide in, and this is going to be the pull part, right? So you can see that it's really long right now. So what we need to do at this point is decide how far we want this to stick out. And I think that's a good spot right there. And then we're going to just trim this side up a little bit so that it's not seen past the frame. So I'm going to just snip that off a little bit. I didn't snip that very well. I'm going to trim that a little bit more. Okay, there we go. But we want to be able to have enough of a little bit of tab here. Now on this card, I actually did go back in and I added a little bit of orange. I used a Stampin' Blend to just add a little bit of orange there to make it brighter, so it kind of showed a little bit. So we have our little sentiment in here. Again, it doesn't matter if it lines up with your slit. That's not the important thing. It's just you want to be able to pull it out and see it. And I didn't think of this, but if you're doing this, maybe you don't want to stamp the back side, because as you flip this over, or if someone flips your card over, they're going to see the Look at You Go on that side too. I might cover that up later. I'm not even sure, but we're going to move on. So we are going to talk about our little bicycle now. So our bicycle is going to sit here, and this is going to be the track that our bicycle is going to sit on. So these little stilts here are what we're going to adhere down to our sentiment piece. Now this pole piece, we just want to make sure you have it lined up exactly where you want it to be. And you can either use these mini glue dots, or you can use bigger glue dots if you have a bigger slit. Or you can use little pieces of the foam adhesive sheets, but basically you're putting one down here at the very end. I'm going to take the cover off, and I'm going to pop this back right here of my little bike onto this little slot piece right here. So I'm going to just kind of make sure it's lining up nicely right about there. So I know that I want my bike to go there. Now I'm going to pop another mini glue dot behind this slit right here, into the slit I should say, behind the bike stilt. There's so many technical terms today. Okay, so I'm going to pop, so my stilts are on the dimensionals that are now on the slider piece. So that all makes sense, right? Now it can't go past here because this dimensional won't let it come past this part, and the dimensional that's right here won't let it go past this part, right? So you can't make this fall out anymore. So this is not going to fall out. So that's the genius, right, behind all of this magical stuff. Now we have to put on this piece, and again, we're going to use some foam adhesive strips because we want this piece to not interfere with our pull mechanism. So I'm going to find my sheets here real quick. Actually, let me briefly, hold please, I'm going to cover up my green ink pad, which is off to the side. That just was bothering me that it was still open. All right, so this adhesive strip is going to go on the bottom, so it cannot interfere with the pull mechanism. You have to remember that part. So it's going to go on the bottom, and it's going to go on the sides. So we're just putting it bottom and sides here. And that's going to hold our grass up higher. It's also going to cover this entire track. So this is a great way to cover up if you're not a fan of seeing the track on the card where you're doing the pulling mechanism. We're hiding this behind our grassy scene here, right? So you can't interfere with the bike paths. So you don't want to put them on the top. You're just putting them sides, right and left sides, and on the bottom only. So we're going to peel these off. And this is what makes this card so thick, because we've got all these adhesive strips. And then this is just going to line up right here. I'm going to try to do it really evenly if I can. Right over top of this whole mechanism. Just like that. So it's attached, again, bottom and sides. And our little bike thingy still pulls open. We've got the look at you go. I just think that is so cool, so clever. And then this is just going to go onto our card base. So really my only little mistake here was choosing to restamp my sentiment piece on the back side. Now it's got two stampings on it, but I think I can probably live with that. So we're just going to put this on here. Now you want to make sure that you're kind of pushing down on everything, because the adhesive is on this white scallop piece, even though we can't, you know, physically touch all of it right now. We've got a lot of layers going on here. I think that's slightly crooked. All right, I brought in some of these adorable little brushed brass butterflies. That's like hard to say, but I thought they would be really cute to add to my card because they're, first of all, they're flat, right? They're not going to interfere with the bike. These are pretty flat embellishments. They're shiny and fun. And there's things that obviously are found in nature. Is there not a sticky on this one? Let me try this again. And they just worked out really well to come on here. So I put them on this side because once I pull the bike over, right, I didn't want to put one down here. I just wanted to keep them all high enough up so that you could have those on there. And that is our amazingly fun on wheels pull tab slider card. How awesome is that? Aren't those the cutest things ever? All right, so how do we do on time? This one again was a little bit longer of instructions. Hi Regina from Germany. So cool that you are watching me from so far away. Hi Michelle, good to see you. It's okay that you're late. A lot of people I think are going to be watching this on replay later. This is a really cool technical card. And it really isn't a hard card to do. When you see all the steps, I think it makes it simpler. Obviously, you've got to do some die cutting and some creative foam adhering, but you can totally make something that's super cute and is going to pull side to side and be so much fun. So I wouldn't recommend making 100 of these, but you know what? When you need something a little special, it's definitely worth it. And I probably will be playing with this kind of card again in the future because I have all kinds of ideas in my brain already on ways that I can do things up and change it up. So enjoy this recipe if you got it in your email today. If you're not on my list, make sure you jump on. Those come out every Thursday. Regina, you're so welcome. Thanks for watching me. I appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who's watching, and let me know if you're watching replay too, because you're just as important. If you have any questions, comments, concerns on how I did this, then make sure you leave a comment for me and I will reply back to you. Thanks, Jess. It was a fun card, and I'm glad that I made it look easy. I was like sweating it a little bit here, thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I can pull this off. I made my prototype, I made one card, and then I did this one live today. So I was like in my brain going over all those steps, like I have to do them in the right order or I'm going to get confused too. So the recipe is amazing. I have it listed out step by step, so you can rewatch this video. You can save it to your favorites on Facebook. You can also save it on YouTube, and then you can watch it as many times as you want if you decide to make this card in the future. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want the Fun on Wheels card class, make sure you put in a qualifying order. I can help you with that if you need help. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye, everybody.